The Toronto Raptors' newest signing just went absolutely nuclear in the championship game of the EuroBasket, and it has a lot of Raptors fans excited about what Juancho Hernangomez can potentially bring to the table for this upcoming season. So I'm going to break down the highlights from that game as well as what impact Juancho can actually have looking at his new and improved skills. Additionally, a longtime Toronto Raptors trade target Poeltl has been made available once again, so I'll discuss the asking price the Spurs are looking for and if we could potentially trade for him, as well as a whole bunch more in this video. So without further ado, let's dive straight into it. Hello everybody, Ben Rogers here, the Raptors Digest, breaking down the latest Toronto Raptors news. And folks, we're marching towards it. We're slowly getting there to 26,000 subscribers. So if you haven't been subscribed and you're watching the videos, definitely subscribe. It helps us out big time. And tell your friends, because everyone's got to stay up to date on this big Toronto Raptors season that's been coming up. But we gotta dive straight into the news, and this one has me pretty excited. And it's Juancho Hernangomez going absolutely nuclear in the EuroBasket Championship. For now, we've discussed it a little bit on the podcast and stuff, discussed a bit on Courtside Digest, but the EuroBasket's one of the biggest tournaments in the world, right? Team USA, Team Canada, other international teams, they're not able to play in EuroBasket. It's European teams, but it seems like all the stars tend to come out and represent their countries for those teams over in Europe, and it's a very competitive tournament. Now, the Toronto Raptors' newest signing, Juancho Hernangomez, has been representing Spain this entire tournament, and he's had an up and down tournament. He's played well in some games. He's struggled relatively, to an NBA player caliber standards and others. But Spain was a pretty loaded squad. They have former Toronto Raptor Lorenzo Brown, who's playing really well. His brother, Willie Hernangomez, on the roster. Spain was pretty solid. But they were gone up. They knocked out Germany, where Dennis Schroeder was having a solid tournament himself. Knocked them out in the semifinals. And then it was Spain versus France. And the Stifle Tower Rudy Gobert in the championship game. From everything I saw, it seemed like France was favorited just because they have Gobert. They have a few NBA players. They have Baselli, Evan Fournier, and a bunch of dudes. So Spain probably was favored on that front. But then Juancho Hernangomez, Bo Cruz, the cruise missile, was not having any of it. And now a lot of Raptors fans were excited when we signed the cruise missile. For people that don't know, he was in that Netflix movie Hustle with Adam Sandler. So his notoriety amped up following that movie. But now I think the excitement has more so swayed. Rather than having a movie star on the team, we're having a guy that can have an elite impact on this squad. Because looking at how he performed in this game, pulling up this box score, Juancho Hernangomez had 27 points, 9 of 11 from the field on a team that has defense backed by Rudy Gobert, went 7 of 9 from the three-point line. That's right, from a dude that is 6'9" himself, long, wiry, athletic, had 5 rebounds in there, and just was unstoppable. It's the only really way to put it. Juancho Hernangomez was absolutely unstoppable going up against France, and let's just show some of the clips. Let's see what this guy was doing to France in here, right? As getting those kickouts, trying to close out on Bo Cruz. The cruise missile, not going to happen. He's going to splash those things in your face, right? Dribble pull-ups off the three-point line, that's no issue. He's taking them off the dribble like Steph Curry. Juancho, he'd be splashing them down, right? Long 7-footer in his face, does not matter. Juancho's able to hit those, and you see the closeouts. These are proper NBA level defender closeouts, and Juancho just has no struggle with that high release, shooting over the top of these guys. He went 7 of 9 from the three-point line in this game. That's absolutely ridiculous in a performance where everything mattered. You see him getting a steal there, right? Shooting fadeaway threes from the three-point line, contested with the hand in your face. Absolutely ridiculous. I feel like I'm being redundant, but all these shots are just absolutely nuts. He's getting a couple steals in there. But Juancho, he's not one-dimensional. He can score in the paint. He can get his work in down low. A little post-fade, a little post-action, looking like Dirk Nowitzki down in the lane. And, catching this ball in the wing, still, hand in the face, does not matter for Juancho Hernangomez. Catching that ball, finishing the lane, using his size, using his frame, finishing under contact. Juancho was absolutely unstoppable in this game. Now, as mentioned, this is a lot of Raptors fans excited, and it should. A guy that's able to perform, and EuroBasket, North American fans like myself, we're not keeping up to date on everything European basketball, but the EuroBasket tournament is one of the most prestigious competitive tournaments that are out there. And Juancho stepped up on the biggest stage in the championship game after having an up and down tournament and put the team on his back and bullied a team of NBA players to win that win that championship gold. It's something that Jokic can do, Giannis can do, Doncic could even do against Poland, right? I'm not saying comparing him to those guys, but and Juancho did have probably a better supporting cast around it, but man, that's a ridiculous performance on the biggest stage there for Juancho. Now, should we get excited? Should we become juiced about him? Now, I think there is room for excitement. I think Raptors fans should get perked up a little bit about this, because the Toronto Raptors need shooting off their bench. And Juancho is a guy that's, long, wiry, can finish. He's like a jack of all trades, master of none at times throughout his career. But obviously those types of players like Andre Kirilenko, they still have roles in this league. But having shooters off the bench, someone that can come in and just capable of knocking down 7 threes like Juancho has proven in this EuroBasket tournament, having a guy that's capable of doing that with this, that's not a negative on defense, that's long, that's wiry, that fits our mold, so Nick Nurse will actually give him minutes, that's going to be a key piece for this team as he fits our system and fits a hole that we desperately need filled for this roster. Now, he didn't have the craziest of tournaments. It's a 1-game sample size we're looking at where he went absolutely nuclear, even though he wasn't that bad. But he didn't make the All-Star team for the EuroBasket tournament. Obviously, that was Giannis, Lorenzo Brown, and Willie Hernangomez. So there's 2 guys on Spain that ended up making the All-Star team, the All-Tournament team over him, which is might be a little bit discouraging. But Lorenzo Brown was absolutely ridiculous in this tournament himself, and Willie Hernangomez was a little bit more consistent, who's actually Bo Cruz's brother. So he played solid on that front. And I think looking at this one game, we can see that the shooting stroke is definitely there. It's definitely improving from the last time we've seen him play in the NBA. And if he can knock down those shots for the Toronto Raptors, that's going to be huge. But shout out to Bo Cruz. Well, let me know what you guys think, what impact he can have on the team in the comment section below. And I want to give a shout out to Sergio Scariolo, who was the coach of Spain. Obviously, he's a Toronto Raptors assistant coach, and he won his 4th European championship as coach for Spain. And, he's setting records. There's only one other coach that's won more, so shout out to Sergio out here making a name for himself on the international stage. So, and I also want to give a shout out, as I have been, Lorenzo Brown, former Toronto Raptor. Happy to see this guy absolutely tearing it up. But we got a lot more to dive into in this video, and the next thing we're discussing is Jakob Poeltl being available for a trade. Now, the graphic wasn't loading earlier for the tweet. I don't have it pulled up. Yeah, the button's still not working. But essentially, what the news is that the San Antonio Spurs are willing to trade away Jakob Poeltl, but they have made a clear asking price. Now, in recent seasons, it seems like the rumors about the Toronto Raptors acquiring Jakob Poeltl have been every 2-3 months popping up and stuff, but it never really was clear what the Spurs were asking for, because we didn't know if the Spurs were tanking or not. Greg Popovich is still obviously manning the ship over there in San Antonio, and I don't think we've ever seen, with exception of these most recent seasons, the Spurs ever struggle as much as they have. And people said the Spurs would never tank, but following their trade of DeJounte Murray, looking at the contracts, the moves they made this offseason, looking at their most recent previous drafts, it seems like they're clearly going into the direction of a rebuild, a tank, trying to get Victor Wembanyama, all these types of guys. Now, that clearly leaves Jakob Poeltl out of their current timeline of players, given he's, 26, 27, older, not on a bad contract, so it makes sense for them to not just giving up for nothing, but their asking price for him is absolutely ridiculous. Currently, they are looking for 2 first-round picks for Jakob Poeltl. 2 first-round picks for a guy that, now, is a really strong center, is a guy that plays elite defense at the center position when you look at positioning, can block shots, he has long arms and all that sort of stuff. We saw the potential he had with the Toronto Raptors in this most recent season. He really took a leap forward, averaging close to 15 points per game, close to 10 upper echelon and rebounds and stuff there too, playing solid defense, not much of a jump shooter, but is a mobile big that could certainly fit right in with this Toronto Raptors system. But the asking price of 2 first-round picks, given the fact he was mostly like an 8-9 point per game scorer his entire career until, he was really given the reins this season, I don't know. The Toronto Raptors, obviously we have Precious, who I think is going to be our starting center going forward, or at least our de facto starting center, already in the wings, ready to jump out. We have Koloko, who's sort of a development project. We have Chatty, Thaddeus Young, Chris Boucher, bunch of guys that can currently play the center position for this Raptor squad. I know that with the exception of Koloko, we don't have any like traditional 7-foot centers, but with Koloko being that insurance and the style of play that we're playing, Jakob Poeltl will be great to bring in, but at the asking price of 2 first-round picks, a little bit too much for me. But folks, let me know in the comment section if you're trying to whip up the trade machine, and if you'd actually like to acquire Jakob Poeltl, and what would be a reasonable trade there. I didn't whip anything up because I didn't want to give up 2 first-round picks, but we could easily make the money work if you trade one of our deeper bench guys. Let me know in the comment section below. But we got more movement to discuss, and the next thing we're talking about is our guy Svi Mykhailiuk gets signed by the New York Knicks. Now, this is something I'm extremely happy about because everyone knows I'm a fan of Svi Water. It looked like he went out there and hustled. He tried really hard for this Raptors team, and obviously has a great nickname, great animation, but unfortunately for Svi, just couldn't knock down threes last season, and it was a desperate need for us off the bench, and it ended up leading him out of our rotation. Now, doesn't have the physical intangibles of a long, wiry athlete to where he's going to be a plus on defense no matter how much he's hustling, right? He is a little bit slower foot, just didn't have that great of an impact on the defensive end. That paired alongside his lack of three-point shooting ability, lack of scoring ability, lack of handle really to slash, and it seemed like on the fast break he'd fumble the ball a lot. It was time for the Toronto Raptors and Svi Mykhailiuk to part ways, but obviously, being from the Ukraine, there's a lot going on off the court for Svi Mykhailiuk. I'm hoping he has a bounce-back season because if you looked at his performance for the first month of last year, he proved he's an NBA-caliber player, but unfortunately, things just went downhill for his Raptors tenure as things went along. So now with the New York Knicks, obviously they do have a bunch of wings that are all fighting for minutes, and Tom Thibodeau doesn't seem to play the bench guys, but Svi Mykhailiuk coming in and being able to, get that opportunity. I'm pressing the wrong buttons here. I thought that I had a Svi graphic as well. The graphics are not loading properly today. But Svi Mykhailiuk coming in, being able to have an opportunity at least on an unguaranteed contract on a New York Knicks team that certainly needs shooting themselves. I think he'll make the roster. I'm happy he's getting this opportunity. He's not getting kicked out of the league. He also himself had a very strong EuroBasket tournament playing in the summer, representing Team Ukraine. Maybe not specifically for EuroBasket, but just in FIBA action in general. So shout out to Svi. Shout out to Svi Water getting another opportunity in the NBA. I'm wishing him the best. The next thing we're discussing is a pretty interesting, a not horrible Bleacher Report trade proposal. Now, I'm interested to see what Raptors fans have to say about this one because caught my eye as one of the, obviously we've been clowning Bleacher Report takes this entire offseason. It's a fun little nugget we've been adding to videos, seeing what, the American media, what people have to say, how they're trying to trigger Raptors fans. But this one doesn't seem like something that's super far-fetched, super just clickbaity, super let's infuriate Ben Rogers and the Raptors Digest. And I'll pull it up on the screen here now. This is essentially the proposed trade. Thaddeus Young and a 2026 first-round pick going to the Utah Jazz for Jordan Clarkson. Now, a first-round pick, the Utah Jazz have made it known that they want a first-round pick for Jordan Clarkson. They want to bring back young assets, young pieces for their veterans that they know have value to other teams that are looking to contend. And the Toronto Raptors do definitely have a hole at this point with the unknowns of Malachi Flynn and Delano Banton, how they can have an impact off the bench as point guards. But having that backup guard that can consistently come in, get you buckets, especially in the half court, is a need for the Toronto Raptors at this point, because outside of Fred and Gary Trent Jr., and I'm considering Scotty Barnes more of a forward rather than a point guard for us, right? There's question marks in terms of guys that could actually come in and fulfill that role. Jordan Clarkson, if there's one thing he can do, it's get buckets in a hurry. In the half court, make difficult shots, and he'd be a perfect fit for this team. But a first-round pick from 2026, you'd probably have some protections in there as well, just to be sure, just to be safe. I don't mind giving that up, but I know Jordan Clarkson's probably, on the open market, a better player than Thaddeus Young. It's just what it is, right? He's a better scorer, 13, 14 points per game, a little bit younger, probably fits what we need a little bit more, just considered the makeup of our team. But I'd be reluctant to give up Thaddeus Young. We saw the veteran, the quotes he was giving this entire offseason just as a veteran, and how he, those are things that impact a team, right? Those are things that are very important to a young and up-and-coming group, to have vets in there that are providing that veteran leadership that can actually go out there on the court and produce. And the way Thaddeus Young, even with limited stats, right? He wasn't putting up big points per game, big rebounds. The hustle, the defense, and the high IQ basketball that he played, I'd just be reluctant to give him up alongside a first-round pick. If this trade was maybe flipped, because the Utah Jazz don't want to win now. Thaddeus Young provides no value for this team, right? If we maybe added a Kem Birch, who I think is definitely going to be better this season than he was last year, given the fact he dealt with a bunch of injuries. If we could add him, who's making a similar amount of money than Thaddeus Young to this package, rather than Thad himself, I'd probably be more willing to part ways with that first round pick and acquire Jordan Clarkson and make that deal happen. But let me know in the comment section if you guys think we should if you agree with this Bleacher Report trade. And the final thing we're talking about, the final thing we're discussing is Yuta Watanabe saying his thanks to Toronto Raptors fans. And there's some people question, Yuta Watanabe signed with the Brooklyn Nets. He's not with this Toronto Raptors team, and he made his final farewell. Not too many words, not too much of an essay or whatever, but he's cleaning up his room in Toronto, and he says, "Thank you, Toronto. I will miss you." So, Yuta, keeping it short and sweet. Obviously, he embraced the Toronto Raptors city and embraced the fan base, and it's nice to see Yuta just saying thanks to this Toronto Raptors organization. Just like I said with Svi, I'm wishing the best for Yuta Watanabe, and I think he'll have a real opportunity to get minutes for the Brooklyn Nets. So, positive stuff there. Lots of fun stuff diving into. Let me know in the comment section below what you guys think about all this Toronto Raptors news. You guys are the best for making this far. Check out the Instagram, the TikTok, the Twitter, all that cool stuff. As said, if you made this far in the video, we are marching towards 26,000 subscribers. So definitely, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Anyways, I'm signing out. Cheers.